Roxo Media House.
All right, let's try this again. Kyle, what's your favorite Mother's Day song?
Hey, I want to welcome everybody to the Three Real Brothers podcast Mother's Day special, man.
Mother's
Today's
Day
a
special.
big episode for us, man. It's an honor for us to be able to bring our mother onto the scene. We also have another special guest. If we can get her up, if she wants to get in front of the camera, we want her in front of the camera. We have our grandmother here in the studio. I'm so excited.
Also, because they're in the studio and they don't realize that we're live,
They don't know
talking
they
right
talk.
now,
Okay,
and we
good.
can hear
All
them.
right, well, y'all gotta
so
whisper.
they got to be quiet and
They-
whisper while we're
they
on
learned how
camera.
to whisper in
Your
helicopter.
time will be to come on camera will be soon. So thank you, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
So anyway,
yes.
back to the episode. So I'm happy to be here, man. This is an exciting time. We all have the same mother, so it's very easy for us to get one guest for that. So that's cool. So let's just jump right into it. How was your weeks?
Well, week was good. Week was good, man.
Yeah.
Excited about some new opportunities coming up, and really,
Care to expand?
not
of a
yet.
needs to
Not
know basis
yet.
hush.
Not
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
You gotta sign contracts and stuff
Yeah,
first. But
yeah.
pretty
NDAs.
excited. yeah.
Sounds like something he could have kept to himself.
Yeah.
But I'm excited
Yeah.
about this.
Why did you even tell us? Why did you even tell us?
You know what?
I got a lot of stuff
Yeah,
going on. What
yeah.
you got? I don't know.
I hate when
Don't worry
people do it. I'm not gonna lie.
I can't tell you details, but I can tell you something's coming
Did
up
you
that I'm
not
excited
expect
about.
You know what? I actually hate when people do that. Just a quick
What?
thing. Quick
I know.
side thing.
Oh,
When people like, yo, man, I got this big booking, man. Big things coming up. What is it? Man, I just really can't talk about it right now. I was like, man, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Just let me find out on my own. But
It was something I really needed to tell you, but I can't. I don't know if I can tell you.
yeah,
What do you mean you don't know if you can tell me?
Right.
Don't tell me nothing.
I don't know, man. That's what Facebook is for.
Yeah, exactly.
Make a post.
These guys here.
I'm doing something.
Yeah,
Wait
yeah.
for you to see it.
Nothing pisses me off more on Facebook than y'all pray for me. For what? Like, can I know? I don't want to pray that you to keep you out of jail for somebody you murdered. Like, let me know what I'm praying for.
Right.
What's the
right.
Just keep
situation?
us in your thoughts. No,
Right.
no,
Yeah.
I'm not.
No,
Not until I know.
I have morals. I need to know.
Yeah. And then everybody's like, "What happened? What
Yeah.
happened?" And then nobody responds.
nobody responds.
Oh my god!
People like the announcement because they like the
They
attention.
want the
Yeah.
attention. Or I'll post a picture of them in the hospital, and they're like, everybody said, "What's wrong?" And like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll let you know." Like, I DM you. No,
Yeah.
tell me what's wrong. But don't post the picture. I don't even care.
I got alcohol poisoning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That stuff
I was overdosed.
Yeah, that stuff
on
inflicted.
heroin. All right. Pray for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
So that was an itch. I'm glad I got that scratched. All right. So what about you, Kyle? How's your week?
Me, my week was good. I had some bookings, so it's nice getting some work, some auditions coming
Yep.
in. You know what I mean? Just,
Care to share? You know?
You can't
I can't really talk about it. Can't really, but
I DM you.
yeah.
Message me off the show.
Yeah.
Tell me about
You'll
it.
find out. But it's been fortunate in the auditions coming in, so it's been good. You know, self-tape May going on right now, so it's
Self-tape
staying busy.
May, that's a
Self-tape
cool
May.
name.
Shout
Yeah.
out to everybody.
There we
who's doing
go.
it.
There we go.
So,
That's
what
awesome.
about you, man? How was your week before we get
It
into
was, it was good. Just got my Hyenas comedy show locked down
Shout out.
May
Shout out to
28th in
you.
Fort Worth. If you were around, please make sure if you watched this after May 28th, you missed it. So
You're lost.
yeah, but if you're here, man, May 28th, Hyenas Comedy Club, Fort Worth.
Cool.
I'll be in the building. We got a couple comedians coming with me, but I'm the main focus. And
Yeah.
that's all that
That's all
matters.
that
Nice, man.
So-
nice.
Since
That's
this is
what's up.
a Mother's Day special,
It is.
and we have to keep it rolling.
It is.
Let's jump right into it because obviously we all have a great relationship with our mother and our father. She was a very influential part of everything that we do. I'd say, kind of the person that made everything happen, or at least allowed it or gave us the help to make it happen. You
Was
know
the
what
engine,
I mean?
you know what I mean?
Was the engine?
The engine.
I won't just give it the end, but she was
Yeah.
a big part. Put it without her, nobody's here. I think we can all agree to that. None of
Yep.
us is here, and not just because she birthed us, but I mean in this position that we're in. You know
Makes
what I mean?
sense.
And so I just want to ask, before we bring her up there, if there's a message or what you think. What you think? What did your mom mean to you? Your mom. What does our mom mean to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a mom. You're
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
I can go. She pretty much shaped and molded me into the man I am today. A huge part in that too, and I think a lot of things kind of get lost in the mix sometimes. Having the value of both parents, it does play a part, having that effect on, and then having such a caring, loving mom teach you how to love, teach you how to give, teaches you the morals and the basics and the principles. I mean, the foundation of me is because of her. You know, the way I view life, the importance of education, the importance of family. You know, Dad does things too, but also there's some things I just feel like, you know, a motherly figure or love that you get. I mean, it has an impact on me. So I mean, it's absolutely everything. To everything I do, I'm processing things like, oh, kind of how mom would do. I'm like, oh, where's my emotional
like
connection?
a woman.
Yeah, exactly. exactly. There you have it. There you have it.
Here rises.
Now, hey, you know what? There's therapy. I just figured out what was the deal.
That's why you need it.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, wait a minute. But but just the simple fact of having that aspect, it plays a huge role in my life. In a way too, I can say I can sleep better at night. Just a certain peace, but it comes from her teachings. You know, a lot of times when you hear moms, they give you these stories, they give you all these life lessons, they give you all these things like, oh, you know, don't this, and you're not really trying to hear it at the time. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, you know, just mom's being mom, or dad's being dad.
For sure.
And then as you get older and you realize the seeds that were being planted, and you hit like, oh, that's what they were talking about. Damn, she was looking out for me. You know, she was way
in a different way.
Yeah, certain things. Something as simple as naming me Kyle saved me such a long trouble. You know what I'm saying?
Expand on that.
Okay, for example, and it's amazing too. A lot of black mothers really kind of have to sometimes put this in perspective. But our mom was so far ahead. There's a reason why we're named Kyle, Kris, and Kenny. Our names are easy to pronounce. On paper, if you're trying to apply for a job, you wouldn't be able to tell if we were black, white, or indifferent.
So you happy your name ain't Look How.
Exactly. But, yeah, because sometimes, but you would hear people at work have different work names. They have to actually adjust their names.
Yeah.
So she kind of was already looking down the road and seeing like, hey, these are some things you're going to come across here. Let me see how I can put you in the best position to be successful in life. You know, and there's nothing wrong with having creative names and stuff, but creative names is what we
watch Fox News.
but the simple fact
has killed 3 people.
but the simple fact of that, it was such a calculated move, and that was out of love, and she was so far ahead just on that too. I mean, I'm thankful for just little things that just didn't resonate till now, and you're like, oh man, how could I ever repay you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How could I? Yeah. You know, I was like, I go to school, but there's so much that I want to do and just show my appreciation. But so, I mean, yeah, she did a phenomenal job, and I'm thankful for everything.
That's
absolutely.
Awesome,
you know what I mean?
What about you, Scoop?
Man, for me, what does my mom mean to me? Obviously, everything. If you really think about it, Kyle really covered a lot of things, but just so much, man, coming up is I felt like she prepared me for life. You know what I'm saying? Like when I finally went out on my own and everything, it's like Kyle said, all of a sudden I started thinking about everything that I was taught. And I mean, we can give credit to her, but I mean, it can be a collection of our overall family. It's just from our grandmother, obviously, sit down to her, but she instilled everything on us. It was like, okay, when certain situations occur, or like my response to things, you know what I'm saying? Like my response may be like, man, I just want to, hit this, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, okay, my mom, what are the things that she taught me? You know what I'm saying? Like how do I go about this? How do I approach this? How do I handle something that I don't like? How do I handle something that I'm not sure of? What do I do if I don't have the answers to this? You know what I'm saying? And not just, simple things, but big things as well. And that's one thing that I would feel very, very privileged to say that my mom has done for me. You know what I mean? I feel like I have been prepared for life. You know what I mean? And a lot of it has to do because of her, starting day one. When she gets over, we'll talk about it more. But this is something as simple as hard work. It's like, I remember, because you guys probably too a little bit younger. So I remember me waking up in the morning, getting ready for school, and she'd be already up cooking breakfast and have at that time we have VCR. So she have a tape player and the cassette and the video VCR.
Old for real.
I know, right? I know, showing my age. But she had breakfast cooking. I'm waking up. I'm 5, 6, whatever. She had breakfast cooking, and she has a mat in the living room, and she's working out at like 6 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? Hurry up and get all that done. Just enough time to have that finished up so she can get her workout in, have breakfast ready, and now time, bam, got to get me ready to go to daycare and go to school or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, I kind of still that myself now. It's like, you know what, I'm like, all right, what I got to get done. You know what I mean? And I think that's a lot of I got from her. It's like, I'm always like, all right, it's not enough time of the day. Got to get something done. Got to get something done.
And
You know,
a quick thing you mentioned that too. When Mama had you, she was in college and had a job too, right?
Yeah, at 19. She had me at 19.
She's 19,
Yeah.
she was
So
in
life was
college
different.
when you were here. So just the fact that she did, but that's a whole other thing too.
We'll talk about more of that. Chris, what about you?
Yeah.
You know what? It took me having kids to understand the impact that my mother had on my
You were a
life.
different one, but that's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
You're
for sure.
handful,
Yeah,
but-
I'm hard headed. I don't listen. But having kids and then seeing other people have, because when you have kids, you're friends with other moms and that have kids and all this other stuff. But having kids really taught me how much sacrifice and how much work, and then also how amazing she was as a mother. Like, I think Dad,
It was her calling.
it was like some people are just meant to be something, right?
Yeah.
And I think Dad, I was talking to him a couple days ago, and he was just like, I was like, my mom, she's doing this and she's doing this. He was like, that's why I've never had to worry about y'all, because I knew that she would take care of everything. And anybody that knows our mother knows, bro, from cooking, from us going to practice, us having teams, us having clothes on our backs, us having new clothes, us going to school, us doing our homework, us having the foundation, the discipline, the work ethic, seeing how somebody did all that for us, I think created these three boys right here. That's the reason we're so successful, because we got to see somebody do it at such a high level and didn't even realize we were getting to see this at such a high level until I've had kids, until I met other mothers and seen other mothers work. And then you're like, y'all can't do that. Why are y'all so exhausted? They complain.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
This sucks.
They're so, oh God, I can't do this. It's not, I'm just so tired. I'm
Right.
always doing this. And I don't think I've ever in my life heard mama say, I'm too tired.
Right.
I'm exhausted. I can't
Right.
do
Yeah,
this.
y'all can figure it
She
out.
made
Yeah,
every
yeah.
game,
Every game,
every
every recital,
every
every
homework.
Yeah.
whatever it was.
When we didn't do our homework ourselves, she did it for us. like everything.
She wouldn't let us fail.
Wouldn't let us fail.
Wouldn't let us
not,
fail.
Like, was determined that my kids would be something.
Yeah.
Right. And to see that at such a high level was obviously a blessing that I didn't even realize I was watching.
Yeah.
You were literally watching Superwoman in the flesh. You know what I mean? You were watching Clark Kent and Superman in one person right all day. So she'd go to work, and then not only is she doing amazing job as a mother, mind you, she is going up in her job.
You're right, in
so
her
it's
career
not like
field. Yeah,
not like I'm only a house mother and I don't do anything else. Like this is including being a super successful,
Right.
not just like a super successful, one of the first black women engineers in Louisiana. One of to be an engineer just in general.
Right.
I mean, I can't do math for anything, and so to be an engineer and to have three boys and to be in college and to get all this done.
Yep.
To see that
And still play basketball.
and still
with my
play
behind.
basketball and beat Kenny until he was ninth grade. Just a long time. But to have that, I think, and then also, and I'm gonna give credit to our grandmother because she's here as well.
Absolutely.
Then I got to spend more time with my grandmother and see how she works. And when breakfast is done cooking, lunch, while everybody's eating breakfast, she's cooking lunch.
She's cleaning the stove pots to
and
make
making
lunch.
lunch. You know what I'm saying? On top of being a nurse, and so she
was a nurse for 40 years.
40
too, by the way.
years. You know what I'm saying? So she got to see it at a high level, which created her ability to do it at a high level, and it's made me a better dad for it because I'm like, there's nothing that can't be done. I need to do it. My kids are number one, and I can also be successful in my career. And so that's probably the best gift and that I can give back. You know what I mean? It's just my flowers and my compliments. And so,
and you know what? Even then, too, like you said, her career to be able to, because a lot of times people say, I don't have the
time. I can't balance.
I don't
Yeah, I
have
can
time
balance.
from that too. But to excel in your career and then also bring your family along with you, there wasn't sacrifice. And I can remember, and her career meant everything to her. But I've never felt she put her career before us.
Never.
That's the fascinating part of that. putting family first, but still excelling in your career.
In your thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that's a big deal, and so I'm so happy to have them here, and y'all can kind of see where we came from and our balance. And so I guess we can jump right into it.
Yeah,
Y'all ready to
come
bring
on
on? Okay,
on.
sweet. Well, I want to bring my mother on, so I want to
Our
we're
mother.
Here, yeah.
God,
Come on, mama. We love you. Come on in here, mama. Come on.
They're gonna be like, y'all aren't three real brothers.
Come on. Yeah.
So who's Kris' mother?
Who's
Who's
mother?
Kyle's
Who's
mother?
your mother?
Yeah.
So I want to make sure she gets the right intro that she does. And so one of the strongest, successful black women that I know, but one of the, if not the best mother in the world, our mother. Give it up for Lori Gardner.
Hey.
Thank you, guys.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite?
That's what I was going to ask.
Can we slow down? Okay. So who's your favorite?
We need to know.
Well, I have a favorite 30-year-old, a favorite 34, and a favorite 37. What level you at?
There you go. There you go.
Funny. That's funny.
So I because we got to jump right into it, and I got to. So be as you heard our gushing feelings and emotions. How did that make you feel? And then obviously you're a great mother. So how is it to be a great mother to
Well,
us? How is it being a mother to these three?
It's the greatest honor I ever had. I always, when people ask me, well, what do you think about mother or your job? I said, the greatest title I will ever have is mom. If I fail as a mother, it doesn't matter what I do in my career. It won't carry any value. It won't carry any weight. So even at work, I'll tell them, I said, I could have the whole alphabet after my name, but if I fail as a mother and my 3 sons aren't thriving in life, then it doesn't matter. So that's always been my goal, is to make sure mom was my greatest title.
That's
That makes me. That's,
Mic drop.
Obviously, yeah, exactly. That has to be said. We all go home. But okay, and so you do excel in your career, which is obviously unbelievable. And then having 3 boys, which is obviously very difficult.
And go ahead and say her career. We're going to say her title.
I don't want to say okay, she's a civil engineer.
Yeah.
And I think we can leave it at that.
Okay.
She's a high level civil engineer.
fair. Fair enough.
And I first of all, if anybody knows anything about engineering school, like
How many years of school takes? Go.
Engineering, well, because I had you,
I'm about to say,
and
don't put on the spot.
Yeah.
No, it took 5 years.
Took you 5 years.
5 years. 5.5.
And you were the first black.
When
your office,
we lived
right?
in Louisiana, there was an agency I worked for, and I was the first female engineer they had ever hired.
So
Female,
not just
not
black,
just black.
just female engineer. Period.
Yeah, period.
You paved the
Period.
way for that
Oh,
agency.
Yes.
Oh wow.
So I was the first one ever hired at
And
that
wait,
agency.
and that was in
1989.
89.
Yeah.
That's when they weren't hiring a lot of black people for anything.
Or women. for that matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Not in engineering.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not in
engineering.
engineering.
Definitely not in engineering.
Well, that deserves a clap.
Yeah, I was just about to say, give it up for that. Give it up for
Yeah.
that. That's awesome.
Respect on that, too.
So
Yeah, well, Kenny took my first question was from, who was your favorite? But my, I have a question for you. How did you manage to evenly spread the love out between us 3 to where we can't even figure out who's your favorite? That's a testament to you.
is it even? Is it?
It is even. Oh my goodness, it is even. Yes. Because I can tell you, she spoiled us all in different ways. I can tell Kenny got all the cars he wanted. I remember Kenny went through a series of cars, and it was okay.
I don't remember this.
Yes,
He had a truck.
I had Dad's truck.
Your Chrysler.
I paid for.
Okay, and go on.
Okay, and then the car I
paid
have
all
now.
that?
I paid.
I didn't know you paid for all that.
See what I'm saying?
I was a young. I didn't know.
Nothing. He's a spoil. That's why.
Chris. Chris had the most cars. Chris,
Exactly.
yeah, you went through Momo's car, the Cadillac,
I brought the Cadillac.
Thank you.
and Momo's car,
You're
the
only one.
Hyundai.
It was given to
So
us.
here-
The Honda. I've only got one car.
Let's get back to the question at hand.
I've only got one car.
The question was,
Another whole.
how did the question was, how did I balance
How did you balance
it where
it up?
everybody, because I have to tell you that even your wife said, I've never seen anybody spoil all the children the same.
Yeah.
And so what I did is I took who you were, and I knew who you were, and I catered and built you up from who you were, rather than just taking one template and try to put all you in one template. I mothered you according to who you were. And so I knew your strengths, I knew your weaknesses, I knew what my challenges would be with you. And so I tailored mothering to each one of you. I did not have a blanket style of mothering. So you used to say, well, why does he get away with so much? I knew how I had to mother him to keep him. I didn't want to lose him, so I had to mother him differently than I mothered you or you. Or same with Kyle. I know Kyle's strengths and weaknesses, so I mothered him to his strengths and then built him up in his weaknesses. And the same with you.
You know what? That makes sense. So that explains why I couldn't leave the driveway until how old was I when I was able to leave the driveway?
10.
I was 10 years old before I could go across the street. Chris,
we already discussed you're a late developer.
No. So Chris could go, and then Kyle was 10 years old. He was like traveling across the country.
Yeah.
First of all,
Is that loving? Is that loving
That was
too?
loving.
Is that loving too?
That was loving.
No, because when Kyle was young, Kyle would walk around naked with a diaper and go to neighbor's yard.
So I start my day off.
Yeah,
with
but
people,
hey,
Right.
Kyle just started wearing clothes like
Right. So
I was going to touch one more thing that you said.
What?
What was our challenges? What was each individual? What
That's
was
the
our
question I
challenge?
was
Okay,
asking.
you're going to too.
What was the
our
challenge?
What was the challenge?
Who's the
And
most?
we can start with Kenny.
Me?
We'll start with
You
the
want to
oldest.
start with Kenny?
We'll start with the oldest.
I don't want her to be. Kenny was the easiest.
Thank you.
What?
Let me tell you why.
Thank you very
she
much.
can beat him.
Yeah. Kenny was the easiest, and he was the easiest because he was very compliant. He was high level from a young age, and part of it is he went to college with me for 4 years. And so while we're in college, I used to give him a calculator and a workbook, and I do my homework, he'd do his. And so he mimicked college students around him. Even when he was even if we walked through what we call the quadrangle at Louisiana Tech where I graduated, even if the
Shout out to the Bulldogs.
and so even if like the Greeks were out there, he mimicked everything he saw. So my mom, who will be here soon on the show, used to say Kenny went to college before he went to kindergarten.
Yeah.
And so
I remember that guy used to do like the cue dolls. I
you used to
stomp
imitate
around.
everything
Yeah.
you
I
saw.
was 4 years old.
So
yeah.
it was easy to
Yeah.
shape him because he thought he was a college student. He'd walk around with a book sack and sit there and do his homework all day. And so it was easy to manage him. And because he's mild temper, he's mild. If you gave him something to do, he liked you did a good job. Okay, what else you want me to do? So he was easier because he went to college first. So he was around nothing but college students. So he thought he was 20 before he was 5. So
that explains the old soul.
that explains the old soul. He went to college before kindergarten.
Okay. What about Chris?
Go ahead. Yeah. We had to get lawyers for this.
Well, up until
We
Chris
banging in these streets.
up until Chris was 3, I didn't know how to handle him. I did not. I had to learn how to handle him because he's a strong personality, and that's okay. But what I've learned is what I always knew: if you stifle who he was, he wouldn't become who God created. And I knew God had created him I wasn't sure at the time, but I would say, God, why did you trust me with this child? And I had to meet him where he was. I couldn't take him and put him in a box because he had just kicked the doors down. I didn't want to lose him. And so, can I say?
Oh, yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
Yep.
Because he would run away from home at 3 years old.
Yep.
2 years old, he would leave.
Yep.
If you spanked him or if you disciplined him real hard, I'm leaving. I don't have to take this. And so at 3
years old, yeah.
I used to have to find him. They shut down the mall looking for him. He got mad and walked off. He walked off from the daycare. He would get mad and just leave. And I was like, oh my God, what is wrong? What did I do wrong? I have this perfect child and I have this child who's not agreeing to anything. And so I thought I was a great mother. And then I realized, oh wow, I'm gonna have to work at this. And so I read a book. Called It's Not the Average Strong-Willed Child. I realized he was cut from a different cloth. And can I say the name of the book?
Please.
Yeah.
Okay. It's Dr. James Dobson, The Strong-Willed Child. And it's not the child who, I don't want to do this today. This was the child who wouldn't eat for 3 days if he got mad or wouldn't go to daycare. He would get undressed. I'm not going.
Right.
I'm like, you're 3. What do you mean you're not going?
That sounds about right.
And so I had to learn to manage who he was. And that book help me. I knew not to take his options away from him. That would make him so upset. So what I would do is lay out the things I would allow him to do and then let him choose from that. Rather than say, you're going to wear this outfit today, I would put 3 outfits out and say, which one do you want? And I also had to learn how to manage him. And one of the things I had to distinguish between childish behavior and disrespect. And so if I told him to go clean his room and he threw everything under the bed, is that childish behavior or is that disrespect? He cleaned it, but it was a childish way to do it.
Right.
So anytime he was disrespectful, it had to be instant. I would have to get him instantly. And so there's instances you know about that I'm not going to discuss because maybe it put me in jail. But then when he became disrespectful, it had to be quick, it had to be hard, it had to be firm, and it had to be consistent. So if he became disrespectful, I knew I had to.
Let's talk about some of those instances.
Actually, you know what?
Bring that
one incident comes to mind when you mentioned that. I remember that this is the weirdest discipline tactic. You were in high school, and Mama was cooking.
Oh, she threw the potato in my
Right.
We were sitting around the kitchen, and I think Mom was getting on you about something. He was always in something, and Kris said something slick. She's baking baked potatoes, ovens at 400 degrees, wrapped in foil. She was getting the baked potatoes out. Kris said something, and I'm looking. I look back at Kris when he spoke. And I look back at my mom. She reached in the oven. Remember, it was hot. He said something. I can't remember, but believe me, if you do, she grabbed it, bare hand, and chunked a potato right at his chest. I mean, it was dead. It was like boom.
Caved him in.
I looked at Kris. Kris was shocked because he was like, his chest was hot. He was rubbing his chest. He was like, was that a potato? Right. I've never. I mean, the room was just silent because I was like, man, I started ducking.
I got hit with cords, brooms, potatoes.
It did made him eat it.
Then fed it to us after. I remember that.
I wouldn't eat. So she'd put my food above the refrigerator and say you can't have nothing else. I'm eating 3-day-old breakfast.
Well, that's because what happened. Because he did have a slick mouth.
Yeah,
and I told him, if you talk back again, you better remember to duck. Yeah, I said, I'm through telling you not to talk back. If you talk back again, you better make sure you duck. And when I did that potato, I said you forgot to duck. I told you.
It was quiet, dude. It was quiet, but I mean, it was dead. I mean, it was some distance. It wasn't close. I mean, that was about 10 feet.
It wasn't close. Now she got close. You know, you mad, so you gotta be tough.
Yeah.
So I got to tell you how the story ended. He called his grandmother, who's here today, and said, Momo, because I told him, come down, dinner's ready. He said, I don't want to eat. And I said, oh, you come down to eat. So he called Mom, and he told Momo, Mama beat me with a potato, then made me eat it for dinner.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so those are just the challenges. I knew who he was. He was always, as you could tell, he's Mr. Funny Man. So in class, I had to teach him, there's some battles you can win and some you can't. Pick your battles. I told him that's the teacher's classroom. You don't take over that room.
Me and the teacher used to.
He used to go head to head with the teacher. I'd be like, wait, that's her room. Yeah. So he started saying later in life, Mom, that's a battle I can't win. Good. Right. And the way I finally got to the rest of the story is I had to negotiate with him. Remember the contract? I had to write out a contract and agree to what we could negotiate, and not some of the items were negotiable, some are not. Non-negotiable, he'll come to me, Mom, can I do whatever? And I'd say non-negotiable. He'll say, okay. So then if he picks something else, I'll say, okay, we could talk about that a little bit. That's how I had to manage him. I had to manage him.
But that's a testimony to you, though, to be able to spend that much time to understand how to parent each child.
How to parent him.
You're not stuck in a way. You're willing to be open,
and not just to give up.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of times, I'll be like,
well, you need to go with your daddy.
Yeah, hey, I'm gonna wash my hands, and hey, I did everything I could do. But you failure wasn't an option.
It wasn't an option. I was determined. I told my mother. I don't know if you remember when he was young. I told my mom. I said, if if he graduates from college and he doesn't go to jail and I don't kill him, I get to go to heaven. I said, that means I'm an angel. I used to tell my mother all the time, I said, if I can control
2 out of
this
3
guy,
ain't bad.
I said, if I can control this boy through college, I get to go to heaven because I got to be an angel.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
It was challenging, and so Kenny was very compliant. Chris was very challenging.
What about
And
this
now I
guy
was getting
here?
ready to go to Kyle.
What about this
Like
guy?
having a daughter.
That's not true.
Kalisha.
the daughter you always wanted.
Raised them like the daughter I always wanted.
No, Kyle and Kenny had kind of the same spirit. They were compliant. Kyle didn't like to get in trouble. The thought of getting in trouble gave Kyle a heart attack. So he was very easy. If you said, I'm going to spank you, he'd be like, oh, no, please, oh, God, no.
I was a little tougher than that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he watched Chris, so he didn't want any of what Chris was getting,
Yeah.
and so Kyle was very compliant, very easy. But I knew that if I wanted to reach Kyle, I had to reach him where he was. If I came down really hard, like I could come down on Chris, but if I came down on Kyle like that, it would break his spirit. I needed him to be strong, so I couldn't break him, and I didn't have to. All I had to do was give Kyle information. He'd be like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. I'll just go do that. And so Kyle was easy in terms of he was open to information. And if you gave it to him, and he trusted me. Like, he watched me, because I had a different relationship with Kyle, because he was the last one. So I would tell Kyle, watch, if this happened, this is going to happen. So I would tell him things about y'all, but I wouldn't tell you because that would push you back. I say, Kyle, watch this. And I'll say, this is what's going to happen, A, B, C, D, whatever the situation was. And he'll watch. He'll come back and he'll say, Mama, it happened just like you said. So he learned to trust me early. And so even when he meet people, he'll say, Mama, do you see something wrong with them? You tell me right now before I get too far into this relationship. If there's something wrong, you tell me right now. So because everything I said would happen with you and happen with you happened. But I couldn't tell you because you weren't open.
She called it.
I called it every time. So he learned to trust my wisdom. So you all thought he was Mama's boy, but he was smart. He was like, oh no, Mama already told me what's going to happen. I'm not going to do it. Because you all made
Sounds like a little sister.
Just has the mark here. I'm just saying.
Or I could just been smart.
He was smart. He said, there's no need to do what you did. He saw it didn't work out.
Right.
That's how I
there
get
you
people to
go.
do what I want.
Yep.
Trust me. I'm always right.
Gotcha. So, Mom, I got another question for you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Which one of us you think got away with the most stuff?
That's different. What do you mean get away?
Yeah,
Who I was the most lenient on?
Yeah, who you most lenient on?
I was most lenient on Kyle. Because I already had two, and I knew what the worst case scenario, best case scenario. So the things I worried about didn't happen. Now, Chris was the noisy wheel, so he got a lot of oil because he challenged everything. And so, but I think Kyle probably, because I didn't have to worry about him. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. That's going to get me in trouble. I'm not going to, because he was so compliant, I could give him more leeway. I'm only going to give you as much leeway as you would allow me. I couldn't give him any. I could give Kyle a lot. And then you were my first child, so I always say, you my guinea pig. I learned on you.
Yeah, you were the strictest on me.
I was the hardest on you because I was going to have this perfect child.
Yes.
And so I went that way. So the more I could trust you, the more leeway I would give you. And so
go ahead, Chris. I was let you have a question.
Okay, no, because I really wanted to bring you into discussion too. Okay, so we were kind of talking about this before. Okay, so single mothers is a real thing, right? I mean, obviously you were blessed enough to not have this. I mean, all the way.
No, I did.
He did. He helped a little.
Yeah.
And so, but for the most part, you didn't have to go through single mother. But I'm pretty sure you've seen single mothers and that struggle. Do you think you would have been as effective as a single mother if that was their situation? And then, what kudos do you give to single mothers?
let me do that. Let me do that because even though I was the hands-on person in the parenting, I'm the hands-on gonna go to homework, and I was the hands-on person. I didn't have to worry about the financial piece. And so I always said that I admire single mothers because they have to do all that I did and then worry about the financial piece. Yes, I have a great job, but even with that, there's still that financial stability that comes with a father. There's a lot of financial stability that comes with that. So I didn't have to worry about that piece. But the hands-on, I would have still been that mother with or without the financial piece. The hands-on involved at the school, at the game, that would have never changed. Because that was what was laid out before me. My parents never missed my game. My parents were always, everything we did, I looked up and there was mom and dad. So I learned, that was a learned behavior. It was what was put before me. That was the example before me, and I know what it meant to me as a child growing up. And there was no way you would look up and not see me.
So what about y'all? Single mothers.
How
do we prevent it?
How do we prevent them? Man, it's like, I don't know. It's almost like, you know, a neighborhood's on fire. It's like, what house do you attend to first? There's a lot of things. I mean, you know, I feel like sometimes right now in today's age, this gets thrown around a lot is, I don't need a man. And it does get thrown around quite a bit. I'm not saying that you absolutely need one, but it does add some benefits to having a double income household. It does have a nice balance. You know what I mean?
So you think it's a stigmatism?
Sometimes I think so too, is that, you know, we get caught up into, you know, especially when the kid's involved, there's so much that goes into a single parent household. Sometimes it comes to the level of maturity mentally from the man and the woman. Sometimes you'll hear some cases, and not putting down women, but if they get upset, you hear some cases where they take off with the child and don't tell the dad, and they take off and go. Or you sometimes have men who doesn't want to step up to the plate per se. And so you have a lot of these situations that come into it, and there's been a huge disconnect in that too. And I know it's a lot of strength, and shout out to all single parents and everything. I don't think women go into a relationship or get pregnant and be like, you know what, I'm ready to raise a child by myself. I don't think that's the intent. But certain things and situations bring upon that. Certain mindsets, certain things, and I feel like the kids suffer the most out of anything. If I'm going to be honest, we're set aside from mom and dad and stuff, I think the kid suffers the most from it. And I think that's really where the issue has to lie from there. It's like, can we set aside our differences and make the sacrifice so we can raise a child?
And I can further expand on that, because even though, so our mom and dad got a divorce, but they got it when we were later.
I was a senior in high school.
He was a senior in high school. I was in college, and you were out of college. But it still affected me.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
It still like played a part in my thinking and everything else. And so, like, I mean, because your mind changes, your whole world has changed. Like, you always think it's going to be this person, them, and them. And so, I always feel for the kids that have to go through that, especially at a young age. Because you imagine being like 6 or 7,
and your world turned upside
you know what I mean?
down.
And I didn't. And I'm a grown man, and it affected me. I'm in practice thinking about it, playing. You know what I mean? Like, and my coach is like, "Bro, that's not you. You got to, you know, you a grown up." But I mean, it's like that's my family. And so I really feel bad for
because in your case, like you talked about your whole life, you have a vision of what things should be, and then all of a sudden, at a moment, it's turned around, and you're like, wait a minute, everything that I saw, like,
and believe, like, all of a sudden it shifted now. You know what I'm saying? Kyle, you brought up a good point. We were talking about, like, you know, you're talking about the issue with single parents households. Like, it's a neighborhood, right? And so, like, you walk up, like, all right, there's 10 houses on fire. Which one are you gonna put out first? One thing that, man, I hear just from talking maybe to just different women about different situations is that sometimes you go into a situation going, okay, I need my husband, all right, or their father to do this, this, and this. And the problem is, or you can go vice versa. As a husband, you go, I need my wife or my mother to do this, this, and this. Because my example of what a mother is and my example of what a father is, so therefore I should want you to fit this mold, right? And when you don't fit that mold, I turn around and go, see, look at your dad. He ain't good. He ain't no good man. Because this is what a good man should be because of what my example is. But really, your dad is being the best he could be. You know what I'm saying? And then the other way around, you look at a mom and you go, okay, well, all right, well, this is my example. This is my example of a mom.
All right, so I need you to do this, this, and this. And if you can't live up to that, then you ain't no good woman, yada, yada, yada. You see what I'm saying?
No, because I do judge, and that's what when I hear mothers are like, I'm tired. I'm like, my mama one time. Why you tired? Like, yeah.
But really, I think what we have to do going into relationships is you got to accept the person, know when that person is giving their best effort. You see what I'm saying? Regardless, if it may not be your standard of what you used to. You know what I mean? Because not everybody can do. You know what I'm saying?
Every case is individual.
Every case is different. Every person is different. So sometimes people are giving their best effort, and you gotta, as the man, you gotta accept that. As a woman in a relationship, you gotta accept that the man is loving his children and loving you the best way he knows how.
I want to ask Mom. How do you think people can affect by changing their mindsets before they get into these relationships to where they're not basing somebody's greatness on somebody else's works?
I don't think anybody should get married without going to counseling and sitting down and setting expectations. You have to be equally yoked. People think equally yoked means believing just in God. That's one part of it, or having a belief system that's in alignment. But equally yoked has to be across the board. If you don't lay out expectations, you assume them, but you don't lay them out. You should have financial expectations. You got to sit down and say, this is where I see us going. How many kids do you want? What's your belief system? Do you believe in spanking? Do you not? Do you cook every day? Do you go to the mall with your money? Whatever those are, or do you smoke? Do you drink? Do you club? All those things make you equally yoked. Do you like working out? Do you like eating healthy? Those are little things that will interrupt a relationship. And so though setting expectations is critical prior to the marriage. If you get into marriage and then say, oh, wait a minute, I thought we was gonna I thought you were gonna mow the yard every week. I gotta hire somebody? Oh wait, well my dad did it every week. What? And so it seems small, but big thing. Oh, you're not going to cook ever?
Right.
And so, by the way, I want to throw this out real fast. Don't forget these single fathers. There's some really good men out there raising their children.
Yeah,
we'll talk
about that later.
Their month is coming.
Their month is coming. I just want to don't forget these men. There's some good men out there raising children.
Bottle cologne and tires are coming.
So, but I want to go back.
Go ahead. Can I mind if I ask you this? Because I want to expand on your thought.
I have one too.
Because a lot of people, maturity, right? So if I'm married to somebody for 20 years, right? Who I am when I first met you probably ain't gonna be the same person I am when I'm older, and my expectations of what I want out of you. And so I've always had this theory, right?
Okay.
Is I think that marriages should renew. You should have to renew a marriage like a car lease every 7 years. Right? Because what happens is in about 7 years, and if you look on the statistics, relationships, divorces happen at year 7. Year 7 is the key year in relationships, which is why I made the number 7. So every 7 years, you should have to renew your relationship, just like you do your house, just like you do your car, or like renew your lease or refinance your car or whatever, because you changed, they may have changed, your expectations may have changed. Which when you went into it, y'all were equally yoked, but as we've gotten older, you've wanted this way, and I've kind of wanted to change this way. What do you think about that?
Well, this is what how I take that. If you're not evaluating your relationship, but every 7 years, you weren't equally yoked. It's a continual process, and if you're married and you're yoked, you should be growing together. And so if you are, this is what I always say, the grass always look green on the other side of the fence, and when you get over there, guess what? You got to water and cut that grass too. And so while you're on this side of the fence, you have to feed what you want to grow in your relationship. So if it's time, if it's attention, if it's words, if it's gift, whatever that is, you got to grow that in your relationship. And so if what you want changes in 2 months, I say, I was thinking, well then if you have that equally yoked partner, they should be open to listening to where you are. And you have to listen, and part of listening is don't talk while I'm talking. So if that partner is giving you information, take that information and then apply it. And if you do that along the way, by the time you get to 7 years, you should be, and you're not going to be exact because you're two different people, but you should still be in the same field.
Communication.
Open communication, open and honest communication.
A lot of times people think a conversation is you talk, I talk,
No.
but then the whole time you're talking, I'm just thinking about what I'm about to say, and so we don't actually have that conversation.
Active listening is a critical part to communicating.
Well, I'm actually just expound on that too. What happens if you're communicating to me and I don't understand because you're speaking a completely different language than what I know? What you're saying doesn't make sense. It's true to your emotions, but to my logic, I'm not getting it.
Well, part of some things here, a lot of times I found people just want to be heard. If you acknowledge their feelings, oh, you were upset about that. Oh, is that how that made you feel? I'm sorry that you were upset about that. Sometimes they don't want you to do anything. People think you may not even understand why they're upset. But what I found, even in my job, when people coming off, blah, 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 okay, well, you listen long enough. Oh, that's why you're. Well, how did we get there? Or what made you get there? You don't have to understand why they're upset. You just, a lot of times, if you acknowledge people's feelings or emotions or whatever happened, they'll calm down and go, oh, well, they hurt me. Sometimes people just want to be heard. You don't even have to understand. I'll be like, in my mind, I might say, you upset about that? But I'll say, oh, okay. Oh, they crossed the line that you thought was yours.
Right.
Okay, well, I'll have a conversation and put them back over there. Okay, thank you. And everybody moves on. Everybody's happy.
Right.
And I might even not agree why you're upset, but okay, I'll take care of that.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Mama. Because I have some friends who are just newly parents, and I wanted to get back, because it is Mother's Day, so I didn't want to touch on it, but I want to get back to, what are some things you would have told your younger self, younger mom? Some advice you would have give to yourself?
Don't try to do everything in a 24-hour period. I wouldn't go to bed unless my house was clean, kitchen was clean, dinner ready for the next day. I would have backed up a little bit, not to say I wouldn't do those things, but I wouldn't have pushed myself to do it in the time frame I had. I would make sure the necessities were taken care of, and the extras, if like you took a nap, that wouldn't be my time to go clean the kitchen and cook. You took a nap, I'm gonna lay down a minute. But I felt I had to get everything done, and I had to have this perfect house with this perfect child with the perfect clothes. If you had a spot on your clothes, I had to go change it. You know, it's okay. And that's why Kyle got away with so much, because I figured out it's okay. He doesn't have to be perfect. And so it was a more relaxed parenting experience with you. I thought everything had to be perfect. And just like the book said, and just like the movie says, and I found out I didn't have to. I don't have to do that for you to be okay. See, he's fine. He's fine. If he's relaxed.
Let's begin.
He's fine. He didn't starve to death. He's fine. If he didn't want to eat, it's okay. He'll come back later. Whereas Kenny, no, you have to eat. You have to do this. Da da da. Chris wouldn't eat, but you all participated in my plan. He did not.
Like it.
Well, I want to give a big shout out to my mom and my dog.
God, yes.
I want to give a big shout out to our mom. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
We love you. We appreciate you. Everything. This has just been wonderful. You are the reason we're here. You're the reason we're going to keep going. So we want to say thank you and we love you.
Oh, you're welcome. You guys are amazing.
Yes. While we switch them out, I want to go to commercial break real quick and we'll get our grandmother up here. Really special treat. We have our grandmother, Miss Audrey Monette. Give it up, Audrey.
Yes.
So, obviously, we gave you. We tried to give as many flowers as we could earlier, and I want to make sure that you know how much we love you and appreciate everything you do, and obviously compliment you on, because all of our uncles and our mother were raised, and they're the foundation of them. You can tell that it came from somewhere strong. And I know from obviously being there and being around you and seeing you do everything, I know where it came from. That's why I say I knew where my mom got her superwoman abilities from, because you were the original superwoman. And so, can you mind if I give you a story?
No, please.
So we come from a background of strong, super strong black women, as you can see. And one of the best instances I can give to how strong my grandmother is one time she had broke her toe. Yeah, I ain't forgot. She was supposed to come watch. Was it maybe me play or somebody can play or something? She was supposed to come visit. She's from Pineville, Louisiana, which is about 5 hours away from Dallas. And that morning, she broke her toe. Broke her. Was it toe or foot?
I think it's a toe.
Broke her toe. After she broke her toe, she wrapped it up, put a little boot on it, jumped in the car and drove 5 hours to come watch because she said she was coming and she was not going to miss her grandkids do anything. And that's, I mean, I literally tell this story to anybody who will ask, anybody who talks about strength. And I'm like, bro, my grandmother broke her toe, put a boot on, got in the car and drove. She needed no hospital, no doctor, no panicking, no ambulance, no nothing. Got in the car and drove 5 hours with a broken toe. And so that just let me, and it gives me the strength in every day that I do, that knowing that's the strength that I come from. That's the cloth that I'm cut from.
I couldn't do that, Momo. I stumped my toe on the bed and I took off.
No, I was done for 2 days.
Chris tore his calf and couldn't.
And he didn't snap.
And so he helped carry it in the house.
Yeah, I tore my calf and walked out. I was like, nah, Momo wouldn't call no doctor. And so I just really wanted to tell that story about you. And so obviously, we have stories for days. If y'all have anything y'all want to,
I just wanted to give you flowers, Mama, and say thank you for all your sacrifice that you made, and from passing down everything that makes up of my mama comes from you, and we know it's been passed down from Big Mama from generation to generation. So we give flowers to all mothers, all generations, and we just want to thank you, and we love you, and we can't explain how much you mean to us. You've done absolutely everything. You have paved the way for Chris's kids and our future kids to come along from your teachings and upbringings and your foundation that you installed. I can't thank you enough for everything, and we love you. That's all I'm gonna say. We love you, and happy Mother's Day to you.
Yes,
thank you.
And yes.
Kenny, you want to get?
You know what, Momo? I was thinking. You know, you spent a lot of time. You spent a lot of time doing a lot of things for us. One thing that I commend you for, and you still do it now since you've been here, is you get up every morning and cook breakfast. And I'm not saying I need that in a person or something like that. But where a refreshing where did that come from to be able to just to be that? Where did that come from?
The energy.
My mother.
Your mother?
My mother.
A great grandmother.
Your great grandmother.
Say her name.
Ozzy Taddy.
Ozzy Taddy. Shout out to her.
So you said you got a lot from
I love Ozzy.
Yes.
Because see, my father died and my mother raised us.
Right. So you grew up with a single parent household. So you got a chance.
But I had a lot of uncles and aunts.
A lot of support from outside.
A lot of support from outside.
How old were you when your father died? You remember?
I was 4.
You were 4 years old. Wow.
You know what's crazy? I never knew that.
He should work on active listening. Work on active listening.
Holy smokes!
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
so how many brothers and sisters you had? You had 9. Was it like
about 9? Yeah.
9 of y'all and
9
Big
of y'all
Momo.
and Big Momo.
Jeez, and see, but that's where that superhuman woman strength comes from. Is you had a great example that you've seen, and then you obviously set the example for my mother, and my mother obviously passed it down to us. And so that's awesome. So I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional because you know how much you love you, Momo. So you, and a lot of people don't know, you are probably our number 1 fan in the world. Like you haven't missed an episode.
Yes. She watches them on
not only not miss an episode,
and critique.
You rewatch.
And we get critiques
and then call and let us know about them.
Right.
And so one, I wanted to say thank you for that because at least we know one person watches
consistently. That's that one view.
And since we're on here, I want you to critique our show. Or just give us what you think about our show.
I enjoy them.
Uh-oh.
I really do.
But
because I think so much of you all. Y'all are great kids. And I can call you kids because I'm old enough to do it.
Right.
Yeah, no, I really enjoy it because you bring out things that's helpful, not just for yourself, but could give other people energy and ideas of how things can be done. And you all do a super job, and I'm proud of you.
Well, thank you, Momo. Well, we say we get it from you all.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so and I wanted, you can discuss this if you want to, but before we go, I wanted to make sure that as somebody who has dealt with a miscarriage, me and my wife, we had a miscarriage a couple years ago, and it broke me down. And so Mother's Day, I think, sometimes gets skipped over for the mothers who had miscarriages or anything happens to their babies. And so I wanted to make sure that they got a happy Mother's Day from us, because like I said, it was when my wife called me and told me, hey, or we're at the doctor and they can't find a heartbeat and all this other stuff. I literally broke down for 3 hours because I don't think people understand the effect that, because to me, I mean, that was still my baby. My kid was still there, and I know you've had a miscarriage before. Is that something you want to give advice to for the younger ladies that are anybody that's dealt with that?
The only thing that I can think of is your trust. For what reason did it happen? It's not for you to know, but you experience it. But you don't stop living and finding negative things to be with it. Remain positive all the time.
Mm-hmm. There you go. There you go.
Mic drop.
Mic
All
drop.
right, so what we do is we can do a piece of advice segment at the end of every show.
Dang, I was going to ask her one question.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask her
Go ahead.
just one question or two. Okay, Momo, for you now, what were some of the challenges for you raising 5 kids? Just some challenges and.
Okay, I won't call it a challenge. It was I call it something that was in my plan in life that I had to do.
Okay.
And I can't do it by myself. And the strongest thing that you could have is your trust. And you know who your trust is in. It's in God. And don't ever think that you could do anything on your own, because you can't. You just have to have trust and do it. And I want to tell you something. Your mother had ordeals with you all, but you little boys. Remember y'all stayed with Pawpaw and I a lot.
Yeah.
And I think he's no longer with us, but he loved you all so much.
Yes,
And he would get upset with me when I would discipline you.
Mama had some tactics now. Mama had
her hand on the toilet.
Yes.
While she spanked us. That's how she spanked us. She said, "Don't take your hand off that toilet."
Momo, you go to jail for some of the stuff that you.
Some of the stuff, yeah.
I'll tell you, 2020, you would go to jail for that.
I will tell you, there's one discipline tactic that worked for me, and it still got me not saying a cuss word now. Is that when we used to say bad words around there,
That's so.
she would wash our mouth out with soap.
Literally.
With down soap, and just be like, "You ain't gonna cuss no more." Until the day, I'm like, "I'm not cussing."
Down soap.
Yeah.
Real ones. The orange.
The golden ones. The golden one, not the new one. We talking about we talking about the traditional one. I remember that
Straight out the factory.
If we broke anything with our feet, she spanked our feet. We broke it with our hands, she spanked our hands. I remember that. I'm like, man, be tiptoeing around Mama's house.
Right, man.
But it was all out of love, though.
The most joyous thing about it is that we can laugh about it now.
Yeah, it hurt at the time,
But it turned us into who we are.
That's exactly what I was.
You know why we can laugh about it? Because you can appreciate it now.
Yeah.
And it was done out of love.
Exactly.
When it's done out of negativity, when it's done out of anger, when it's done out of not liking somebody, is when that later on you're like, I don't appreciate that. But we know how much you love us. So now it's like, oh, she was just trying to make sure we were all right. And so we want to thank you for coming on, Momo. Big
Thank you all. No, I could say one thing.
Please.
I'm very proud of the 3 of you.
Thank you, Momo.
You all are going in the right direction. And don't take a left turn.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Always
ma'am.
go right.
Always go right.
One thing, wait.
You got to do a piece of advice.
We got an audience here who's watching, so we need to know. We got to get everybody's gonna give a piece of advice. We're gonna end it with everybody giving a piece of advice.
And so we'll start it with them, and then we'll bring it back around.
Yes.
To you, okay?
All right.
So This is everybody's favorite segment. This is the piece of advice segment. Cal, you want to go first?
I will go first since it is Mother Days and stuff too. Make sure that you show your love and appreciation, and make sure that your mothers or anybody who's been in your life and has impacted your life in any way, in a motherly figure, make sure that you show your appreciation to them by telling them you love them. Tell them thank you, even when they least expect. Not just on Mother's Day. Make sure they know this throughout your lives, the impact that people have on your lives. And that's the one thing I want to say. Show your love to the people who support you.
I had one, but after listening to my mom and Momo's story today, I want to give you guys this. Make sure you start more times than you stop. Make sure you start more times than you stop. There's nothing wrong with looking back and stopping and going, okay, this is not working. What do I got to do different? But if you keep starting, that's where the success comes in at. So make sure you start more times than you stop.
You know what else you can talk about with that is because like when you're like trading stocks, that one thing they say is you don't lose money until you actually take your money out. So you're in this long journey and you're going through. Just because you're dipping down doesn't mean you take your money out. Your only fail is when you take your money out, and that's when you lose your money. You can't, if you just leave it in there and just keep riding that wave, then that's when you're still going. So it's kind of back and door what you're saying. Okay, mine is I was listening to another podcast, and a guy that owns the Phoenix Suns, Matt Ishbia, he gave a little piece of advice that really sat with me. He said, in life, you don't chase money. Because if you chase money, you won't be successful. You chase success, and money follows success. So everything that you do, don't focus on the financial part of it. Focus on being the best portion of yourself that you can be, and success or money follows success. Be successful, and here the money comes behind it.
Momo, your piece of advice.
Piece of advice
To the world.
To the world?
Yeah.
Yes.
Gosh, I can't do that for the world because there's too many people. and they have too many different ideas than what I have.
Okay, let's give this.
Mine.
Okay.
I have to tell you, my strength and my courage and working hard comes from one person, and that's my mother.
Mm-hmm.
She worked, I should say day and night, because she cooked and she cleaned, and she never complained. But guess what? She brought that cooking and cleaning home, and we had to do it. So that's why I could clean and cook now. Because I grew up doing it, okay?
Gotcha.
But my advice is to love everybody, whoever said that. Don't criticize someone, because we don't know what's going on in their lives and why they're doing what they're doing. But always be there to help.
Yeah.
Always be there to help.
There
And
you
if
go.
anything you can see from me, remember, I'm a helper.
Yes.
So
Yep.
just be a helper, okay?
Yes, ma'am. So wait, hold on.
Well,
We'll just say
before you go-
he's got to close it
so
out.
I want to thank my mother and my grandmothers for coming on today. I want to thank all the mothers out there, and y'all keep doing what you're
Yes,
doing.
we appreciate you as men.
You are appreciated. You are loved. You are cherished. Every bit of our bones in our body. So thank y'all so much for tuning in to the Three Real Brothers Podcast Mother's Day Special. We'll be back again with another episode. Y'all stay tuned. Oh, make sure you follow Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're on there
YouTube,
at YouTube, at Three Real
Spotify.
Brothers. Man, it's
Yep.
going up. Keep subscribing, keep watching, keep telling your friends. And we'll be back with you soon.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you all.
Thank you.
Give me a hug.
Give me a hug. Yeah, go ahead, bring it in.
All right.